Welcome to Social Studies 8. This lesson is about hate groups and the impact of the KKK. This bell ringer is asking, how does this political cartoon illustrate the unfairness of the grandfather clauses if he is still allowed to vote in his southern state? Please pause this video and answer the question. Our agenda today includes covering the history of the Ku Klux Klan, focusing on lynchings and their impact in popular culture, and spending some time on a memorial video dedicated to the victims of lynchings in the American South. Our learning targets today include recognizing illegal acts of violence faced by people of color in the South after the Civil War, and using a variety of sources in order to reveal this illegal activity. So far, we have covered various ways that people have tried to preserve pre-war Southern culture and society. These include biased state laws called the Black Codes, voting restrictions, and segregation. But illegal behavior also impacted the lives and safety of people of color. This lesson will address the disturbing history of violence against African Americans after the Civil War. To start, we need to introduce the Ku Klux Klan, or the KKK. This is a terrorist organization in the United States. This was formed after the Civil War ended in 1865, and the purpose was to frighten newly freed African Americans and to take away their rights. They would go out at night and scare people, whip them, and occasionally kill and torture formerly enslaved people. Their membership went up and down over the years, but it did reach a peak of about 4 million members in the 1920s. At that time, the Klan's list of enemies grew to include Catholics, Jews, immigrants, and others. The Klan grew again in the 1960s. It was a time of the civil rights movement, and this is a time marked by African Americans working very hard to gain equal rights. Klan members protest this movement by bombing, whipping, and shooting African Americans in the South. However, it is important to note that the KKK was not just a problem in the South, it was a national organization. Binghamton, in particular, was in fact the New York State headquarters for the KKK. They had a small section for their headquarters on the intersection of Wall and Henry Street. During the 1920s, the Klan was really trying to be like a fraternal organization or a fraternity. Its focus was anti-immigrant, anti-Catholic, and anti-Jewish. Their concern was that white Native American Protestants were losing their status and power because of immigration of Catholics and Jews from Southern and Eastern Europe. These places include Ireland, Italy, Ukraine, Poland, and a lot of other locations as well. We have here a historic application to be a citizen in the Invisible Empire, or essentially to join the Ku Klux Klan. Please pause this video, examine the document, and answer the question, who couldn't join the Invisible Empire? Welcome back. We should now cover the vocabulary term lynching. Lynching is a form of violence in which a mob, claiming to administer justice without a fair trial, will murder someone they assume to be guilty of some kind of crime. They often inflict torture and bodily mutilation on their victims. People of color were lynched for a variety of reasons, including trying to seek help from authority figures and police for facing violence, and for having what were considered inappropriate relationships or even just communicating with white women. This map illustrates the number of documented lynches in the year 1919 alone. It is expected that about 4,200 African Americans were lynched in the South. But we understand that that number could be much, much, much higher because those are only the cases that have been legally documented. The orange circles on this map denote African American victims. Pink circles demonstrate Native American victims. Blue dots show Italian American victims, and green shows Chinese American victims. Lynching was a very frightening and extremely disturbing force in American history that changed culture for people of color forever. References in pop culture were made. Please pause this video and listen to artist Billie Holiday sing potentially one of the most powerful songs in our American lexicon. Please answer the question, what is the strange fruit being described in the song? Welcome back. It's important to note that we have information about lynching and we have information about victims who face this because of this particular figure here named Ida B. Wells. She was potentially one of the most fearless and most respected women in the United States. She did a variety of really incredible things, including run for president and assist with the women's suffrage movement. We know more about her because of the experiences that she had trying to document lynchings and being almost killed herself for standing up to lynchings in the press. Please pause this video and watch the video on slide 11. Welcome back. In order to heal the deep wounds of our present, we must face the truth of the past. Please listen to the stories of living Americans who live with the consequences of lynching and hate crimes. They are in our communities. Click here to hear James Johnson's story. Thanks.